not stop to retrieve those items. Please raise your hands and let me know the items fell out of the truck. I'll call the warden and they will come by and retrieve your items for you, but we cannot guarantee they're going to come back in the same condition. Out of respect of our animals, we are entering into their homes at this time, so please use your inside voices at this time throughout the reserve. There's no yelling out or calling out or making any kind of loud animal noises. My name is Shannon. I'm going to be your guide today through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. There's an animal color-coded guide above your head so you can easily identify these animals that we just might be able to see today. This is an okapi over here. Okapis look like they might be related to the zebra, but actually they're the only living relative of the giraffe. They have the same prehensile tongue and the same skeletal body, just a smaller size. They also have an infrasonic sound that's much lower than the human ear can hear, and that's how those animals will communicate with their young. On the right, coming up on the top, you see a female greater kudu. You can tell she's a female because she doesn't have any horns. Back left, we have a black rhino. They're the smaller of their species. They can grow to be about 3,000 pounds. They're solitary animals, which means they hang out alone a lot. They have no natural predators, but they do have a major, huge threat causing them to be on the endangered list, and that's humans, poaching them for their horns, which is keratin, the same exact thing as our fingernails. These female greater kudus are a larger antelope that grow 55 inches to their shoulder. 15% of those animals are living on protected lands and 50% are living on private lands. Those are bongos back there. They're the ghosts of the forest because you hardly ever see them. Males and females have horns that grow 32 to 36 inches, and they grow backwards so they can get through the underbrush of the forest with ease. Most of these animals that are living in the forest areas are losing their natural habitat due to deforestation, so we're asking you to be a little bit more resourceful and responsible using paper products. So we're heading into the Sapi at this time, and the Sapi River is the watering hole for these animals throughout the reserve. It's also the home of the hippopotamus. These animals do stay submerged most of the time in order to keep their body temperatures down, so be mindful. Look right here, there's two in the water. Even though they stay submerged most of the time, they do not swim. They will actually walk and run across the floor of the water. While they're in the water, they let out snorts and feet. When they come out of the water at night to graze, they'll go miles away from their watering source, and they have another identifying noise called a wheeze honk. They can only stay submerged for about 8 minutes before their body automatically sends them to the top. They graze about 80 to 90 pounds of vegetation a night. Their family's called a bloat. And they're unfortunately being poached for their teeth, which are made of ivory. These are pink-backed pelicans. They get their name because during mating season, their backs turn pink. They usually hang out in groups of 15 to 20 birds, and they can grow. Their wingspans can be 7 feet wide. Left-hand side, you see a Nile crocodile. These animals can grow 18 feet long, and they can weigh 500 pounds. They actually eat half their body weight in one meal, so they can go days and weeks without eating. In order to help the hatching process, they will hold their eggs around in their mouth. And when these crocodiles are very small and there's danger in the area, the female will scoop them back up into her mouth, and she'll hold on to them until the danger passes. As we come around the bend, you're going to see a baobab tree. These trees go leafless 9 months out of the year. They hold up to 30,000 gallons of water inside their trunks. These are the main water source for animals during a drought. Animals will seek these trees out. They'll chew on their branches to make holes in them so they can drink from this tree, and it is the tree of life. Some people call it actually the upside down tree due to the fact it looks like it's growing upside down. So we're leaving out of the Sapi and entering into the West Savannah. I would like to really say happy birthday to that young explorer with a white t-shirt on and those cool shades. That being said, can he please keep that birthday bottom on the seat?
Sure.
for safety reasons. Thank you so much. So we just entered into the West Savannah, and I can see we're being greeted by springbok to our right. Springbok are a 3-foot antelope that get their name because they spring in the air 6 to 8 feet while standing still. If they're in motion, they can go 13 feet long in the air. They travel speeds up to 60 miles an hour, causing them to be in the top 10 fastest animals in the world. They also have a skin flap that goes from the middle of their back and their tail, and it flips in the air and it lets the rest of their family know that there's danger in the area. So next we're going to be greeted by some Maasai giraffes and Ankole cattle. Ankole cattle are domesticated animals, and they're also called Watusi for the first family that domesticated them. They have those long horns that grow 3 to 4 feet long. Inside those horns, it's a honeycomb-shaped pattern filled with blood vessels so they can easily disperse their extra body heat. They're one of the only animals out here that can withstand high heats and high humidities, and when they communicate, they say moo, just like a domestic cow. Left-hand side, inside the den, you might be able to see some next to the stone and in by that bamboo back there. Those are African wild dogs. They're also called painted dogs due to their spots. There's no relation to the domestic dog. They're part of the Candid family. These are daytime animals that have 4 toes. In the wild, they'll grow to be about 11 years old, and they can run speeds of 44 miles an hour, which is the same speed as a greyhound. Maasai giraffes. These giraffes can grow 18 to 20 feet tall. In the wild, for their safety, they will sleep standing up because they're too vulnerable to predators when they lay down. They also give birth standing up as well to 6-foot calves that can walk within an hour of birth. Their family is called a tower. Those spots are unique, just like our fingerprints. They're the only animal that can really wipe off their eyes with their tongue and clean their ears out with their tongue. And unfortunately, they are being poached for their hairs on their tail. These are termite mounds. They're made of a consistency of saliva, dirt, and dung. They get very hard like concrete after sitting out in the sun. Shh, let's be quiet. This guy was mooing just now. Well, he's not going to say it anymore. He knows we're watching. Oh, there he goes. So these prehensile tongues, if you notice, they're black. They're black, so they do not get sunburned. They have their tongue out of their mouth most of the day. Okay, Hartman's mountain zebra. How do they tell the color of a zebra? Is the color of their nose. These ones here have black noses, so they're black zebras with white stripes. Their family's called a dazzle, which is usually made up of 1 stallion, 2 to 5 female, and their young. They're very social animals that like to communicate using snorts, chuffs, and body language. The other animals out here are wildebeest, which means wild beast in Dutch. They're the largest dense herd of animals. The only thing that's a larger dense herd is humans. Their family's called a confusion. When you see confusion laying down in the wild, they'll be laying down in rows facing different directions with space in between each animal so they can keep an eye on their predators and they can get up and move with ease if there's danger in the area. They do migrate 500 to 1,000 miles. They're also called new, GNU. That's how they communicate as well. It sounds like new, but it's new. Wildebeest right here on the right. We have some African elephants. If you see a large herd of elephants, it's usually female and their young, because the males tend to be a little bit more solitary, or they hang out in a smaller loose group. If you notice these elephants' ears are flapping, they're actually the shape of Africa. Mandrills are on the left. You got to be mindful and look into these trees right here. Mandrills are the largest of the monkeys. They can grow 100 pounds. They have red and blue faces, and when they get older, they have red and blue bottoms as well. Some people ask how you can tell the difference between monkeys and gorillas, and monkeys have tails and gorillas do not have tails. God bless you. God bless you. All that wild pixie dust.
Yes.
So both of these animals are losing their natural habitats due to our mining practices for coltan, which is a mineral used to make small electronics like cell phones, laptops, cameras, and such. So we're asking you, please be mindful of this while purchasing those items, and you can start recycling some of those old ones. These are the largest of the mammals. They can grow 12 feet tall. Those ears can be 6 feet long and 5 feet wide. They're filled with blood vessels. So when they're flapping their ears, they're fanning themselves. And when they douse their ears in water, it's to cool down those blood vessels. So when they fan themselves, they can actually get a cooler fanning system. Oh, here he is. I can't stop on the bridge. This is the red clay pits. Red clay is actually packed with nutrients, vitamins, and minerals that are essential in the daily diet of an elephant. So if you want to look to your right as we go through this underpass, you might see tusk marks in the red clay. And unfortunately, these animals are being poached through those tusks, which are made of ivory. If you ever see an elephant throwing dirt up on their back with their trunk, it's to keep the insects off their back. When you see them coating themselves in mud, they have extremely sensitive skin and therefore they can get sunburned very easily, and they use mud as a natural sunblock. Like I said, these are the largest of the mammals. However, I didn't tell you that they're afraid of bees. Farmers found this out and they started building bee boxes on their fences so the elephants would stop coming in to eat their crops. I'll tell you, these ducks sometimes think they own the place. Yeah, there you go. So this here is a flamboyant. It's a family of flamingos. These are the greater flamingos, so they're the larger of their species, and they're the lighter pink of their species. They get their pink coloring from their daily diet, which is brine shrimp and other aquatic creatures that contain beta-carotene. If you look at their island, it is a hidden Mickey. If you're noticing, there's gray birds right here in the front. Those are young flamingos that were born about 3 months ago. When these birds are actually hatched out of their eggs, they're literally the size of your hand. They're fully gray with black legs. Then they earn their white coloring, like this one here is getting the B. That one's a juvenile. But then they get white, and then they turn pink in about 2 years. So you get to see, that full, cool. Please be mindful, there might be some elephants here. I always like to warn people so you're not missing out on anything. Ostrich. Ostriches are not the friendliest of the birds. They really do not like to be disturbed. They are the largest bird. They have feathers and wings, but they cannot fly. They do travel, oh, here's another one. They do travel speeds of 40 miles an hour. Oh, white rhinos. A family of rhinos called a crash. These are the white rhinos. They're the larger of their species. They grow 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. There's more inside this underbrush over here. They have very poor eyesight, but they have a keen sense of smell. They have excellent hearing. If they get frightened, they can charge 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it over there.
These animals can have babies like one every 3 years. Up over here on the far front corner, we have some cheetahs, which are the fastest large cat. They run 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. They're unable to keep those speeds up, but when they travel at those speeds, they use their tail as a rudder. They have black lines that run by their eyes, so the sun easily gets deflected away from their eyes because they're daytime hunters. These are the only large cats that do not roar. They actually meow and purr just like a domestic cat right through adulthood. When they communicate with their young, they will chirp like a bird. And those coats are evenly distributed with 2,000 spots of cat. This here is called Kopi. It's an area of land that sits up much higher in the savannah. It's made of stone and grassland. And it's also the home of the lion. Oh, there they are. These lions will rest 16 to 20 hours out of the day. Their eyesight during the day is similar to ours. At night, it's 6 times greater, and they're nighttime hunters. The female will actually do the hunting in pairs because usually their prey is much faster than they are. The male will hang back and protect their family and cubs, which is called a pride. These cats do have extra padded paws, so they can go quickly and quietly through the savannah while hunting. The male roar is the loudest of them, between them and the tigers. These are louder. You can hear them up to 5 miles away. Usually when the male roars, it's usually to let the rest of their pride know that there's danger in the area. And it's also to let the other unwanted friends that are in the area to get on off out of the way, to warn them, like, hey, I see you, you're in my area, bye-bye. Here she is. You can tell these are female because she does not have a fluffy mane like those males. Each and every one of these safaris are very unique and different because, as you can tell, these are wild animals and they move around an awful lot. So just be mindful of that. Oh, warthogs laying down right here. Warthogs are the largest of the burrowing animals. They're the only animal that will actually go into another animal's burrow after they left to resize it and repurpose it for themselves. They travel 35 miles an hour. They do not like to be disturbed, and they hold on to major-sized grudges. Right-hand side, as we come around this bend, you're going to see another ostrich with an ostrich nest and some eggs. Those eggs weigh 3 pounds apiece. They have very thick, hard shells, so if a human was actually to stand on them, they would not break. Oh, that's a bontebok. I'll talk about him in a second. Males and females will tend to this nest, and those eggs will take 40 days to hatch. The bontebok, he's a relative of the wildebeest. He's one of the only antelopes that are unable to jump to high heights. They were on the verge of being extinct. When farmers found out, they started building fences around them on their land to protect them. Oh, another warthog. So we're going to be leaving out of the East Savannah at this time and entering into the Gotti Glen. This is where the warden's post is situated at the edge of the reserve, so we can learn to live next to these animals harmoniously. It's also the home of the very cute, domesticated Nigerian dwarf goats. These are very social, playful animals that do not like to be wet. The warden and his staff do take care of these goats. They produce a very sweet milk, so they're great for the community economically as well as nutritionally. If you do take notice to the trees, there's fencing around the trees, so the goats do not eat all the bark off the trees. There's some in the back of the truck as well as the roof. I sure do hope everyone enjoyed themselves today out in the reserve, because this concludes our animals out here. If you would like to see any other animals while you're out in exploring Africa, Gorilla Falls is right next door to us. It's a walking trail. That is the home of the gorilla, the meerkat, the naked mole rats.